The first performance is a piece that it's difficult to sum up in a really quick way, but I would say that it has to do with losing oneself along life's journey and then trying to find one's way back to that sort of original central point of the self. The idea when I first had it was one of kind of, we would say, womb to tomb in it's a West Side Story, don't they say womb to tomb? Anyway, so the idea is that in your most raw embryonic state, you take this first breath and you are sort of unflawed, and you go out into the world and you find certain paths and sometimes lose your way. And this concert is all about sort of stripping that away and trying to get back to the center. And our lost traveler of choice is the wonderful Ian Rosenbaum. Well, I was stunned to find out that our friend Kevin Putz had written this piece that in many ways is the exact journey that I was looking for. If you look at the program notes and the inspiration of his piece, The Living Frescoes, it very much mirrors this kind of life cycle image that I'm talking about. So that one seemed like an obvious fit, and it's multi-movement with a kind of return to this central theme to launch each new section, and that allows us to insert different things in between that work well. And the whole concert is really based on this big feature for Ian called Corporel by Vinko Globokar, which is a singularly unique kind of expression. I actually got a chance to see a little premiere sample of what he does with it when we performed for some students at CMU just the other day. Was that yesterday?
That was only yesterday.
No, it was 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And I can honestly say I don't think they'd ever seen anything quite like that. Now, I find the work provocative and deeply expressive. Some people just get weirded out by this particular piece, but either way it makes you think, and it definitely stirs you up.
What it is it's one performer sitting on the stage shirtless, and they play.
That's most of the reason. If it's Ian and it's shirtless, people are really weirded out. So anyway, continue.
And the whole piece is played on your body. So you hit and strike your body in various ways with fingers or hands all around your body. You make all kinds of noises with your mouth, and sort of it takes you on this wild progression. It can be difficult. It isn't really a narrative per se. Like, you don't really go from here to here with it, but it can sort of strike every person a little bit differently. It can be a little odd, a little weird. Certainly provocative, if nothing else. It's a very unique experience, I think.
And I would say that for me, the first time I saw it and every time I've seen it since, which is quite a few times now, there has been a clear narrative, though I recognize it wasn't written necessarily in that, but we all see what we want to see, So for me, that narrative just jumps out, but perhaps somebody else would have a very different one. Well, first, the Breznik is a piece that I happened on in kind of looking to put this program together, and found not only that the language of the piano, like the particular, the gait, let's call it, the rhythm and the gait of the music was in sync with what I thought this program was about, but it's based on this wonderful William Blake quote that I thought also went well in hand with this, and I thought about how we would put it together, and I realized that little quote was a good way to sum up the larger arc of the whole show. I also find it a very meditative piano work, particularly for Breznik. It's pretty meditative. So there's something about the ritual of the sound of that, which has a certain kind of drone element that I think is important in terms of trying to shape this life cycle. And that element of ritual, the sort of continuity of all of it, the fact that this happens over and over with everyone on the planet does this. We all take a first breath, we all take a last breath. And the first one and the last one are much closer together than any two in the middle. Something about that has always spoken to me. So this ritual, I believe, is really well summed up by Xenakis, whose music I have always found has a very ancient quality to it that is hard to describe. And we know it's been mathematically derived or inspired in some cases, but I've always found it to be a kind of pure music expression and something very old and ancient and very ritualistic. And those pieces, the percussion pieces, are particularly that way. So
just to speak a little bit about the Xenakis piece, there are two pieces, two movements called A and B. They're both for a series of drums. I have, bass drums, congas, tom-toms, that sort of thing. One of the movements uses 5 wood blocks, but aside from that, it's a pretty limited instrumental palette. And Xenakis, the way he writes for unpitched percussion is really, really unique, really, really powerful. He just sort of, I don't know, he exploits these instruments in a way that no other composer can. I mean, we were talking about this on the phone the other day. He doesn't, the rhythms that he's using are not particularly complicated. In this particular piece, there aren't a lot of crazy polyrhythms or anything like that. But by using these sort of sparse means, he sort of ratchets up the energy piece by piece, second by second, until by the time you get to the end of these pieces, it's all you can do. It really takes a lot out of me as a performer to perform these pieces. They're really, really extraordinary, and I'm excited to see how they fit in with this program once we get into rehearsal.
I would only say that it's the second attempt that I've made to try to put together a program based on this concept. And if it's successful, then we'll have it, and a few years from now, maybe we'll do it again. If it's not successful, I'll alter it and try again. But I'm absolutely convinced that this piece, the Globocars Corporel, is deserving of having a whole performance built around it. The evening closes with that really extraordinary and unique work, and my effort is to try to put that particular expressive work in the best possible light.